Picture this. You've worked 20 years to build your life. Sacrificed weekends, passed up family time, endured the stress of building a career or a business. You bought the house, funded the kids' college accounts, and put her name on everything. You did the noble thing. You provided, you committed. Then one day she walks in and says, "I'm not happy." You think you're losing a wife, but you are not. You are standing on the precipice of a financial catastrophe that will erase 2 decades of your life. You are about to witness the single greatest wealth transfer of your lifetime, and it is entirely legal. You think you understand the rules of commitment. You don't. You only understand the rules of a fantasy that the legal system is built to destroy. If you stick with me, I will expose the 4 psychological and legal myths that guarantee a man ends up bankrupt and disillusioned. Let's begin with a story. A real-life story of a man who did everything right, Jeff Bezos. In 2019, he got a divorce, a split that cost him 4% of Amazon. That figure sounds small until you realize 4% of Amazon at the time was $36 billion. $36 billion. Now, you are probably not Jeff Bezos, but the underlying principle that annihilated his financial life is the exact same legal and psychological principle that is currently threatening your house, your savings, and your future retirement. You believe your marriage is a partnership. You believe the legal system is fair. You believe loyalty matters. You are wrong on all 3 counts. The moment she says those 4 words, "I want a divorce," your entire financial reality is reframed. Your marriage stops being a romantic commitment and immediately becomes a hostile corporate dissolution where you are the sole asset. The uncomfortable, essential truth that 99% of men refuse to accept is this: the marriage contract is the only contract in the modern world where one party is legally incentivized to destroy the other. This is not a judgment on women. It is a judgment on the system that weaponizes female biology and male naivete. If you are a man of value, a man who produces, who earns, who accumulates, the modern legal framework has turned your partner into a potential hostile corporate raider who can legally seize 50% of your assets and extract a guaranteed monthly salary, alimony, and child support for decades, often without having to demonstrate a financial need. That's the reality. And if you're still listening, I'm guessing you're ready to see the mechanism of your own potential destruction. You believe your value in the relationship is tied to your provision. You are the hunter, the protector, the builder. This is your masculine frame. You believe she values the security you provide. This is the first fatal myth. The law doesn't care about your provision. The law cares about the date you got married and the date you filed for divorce. Everything in between, every dollar, every stock option, every piece of equity is considered marital property, regardless of whose name is on the paycheck. The psychological shift from partner to asset manager. Here's the hidden psychological destruction. In a healthy relationship, effort is reciprocal. In a failing marriage, your continued effort is just increasing the value of the asset she is preparing to sell. The problem is that you, the man, have been conditioned to believe that fixing the marriage means increasing the effort. You try harder, work more, and put more money in the joint account. She, meanwhile, is emotionally checked out. Her focus has already shifted from maintaining the relationship to maximizing her exit value. She starts documenting, gathering receipts, and strategically creating distance, all actions that are financially advantageous in court. Your frame is focused on love and loyalty. Her frame, or more accurately, the legal frame she is now operating within, is focused on asset realization. You are operating in 2 different realities. And the reality where you win is the one where you stop viewing the marriage as a shared journey and start viewing it as a financial liability the moment the frame shifts. If you're finding the brutal clarity of this analysis necessary, it's because you recognize that you've been operating with a naive view of modern commitment. This channel is dedicated to the uncomfortable truths that empower men. Hit the subscribe button now and join the small percentage of men who are willing to see the reality of relationships before it's too late.
We've discussed hypergamy countless times on this channel. It is the biological programming that drives the woman to seek a partner with superior sexual market value, superior genetics, resources, and social standing. In a traditional relationship, hypergamy drives her to select the best available man. In a divorce, hypergamy undergoes its final brutal mutation. It drives her to select the highest financial outcome, regardless of the man's moral character or the history of the marriage. The billionaire mentality. When a woman sees her husband's success, his rising income, his business equity, his investments, her unconscious mind often views it not as our security, but as a safe, guaranteed source of future resources. The man stops being a husband and becomes a high-yielding, diversified financial portfolio. The legal system reinforces this predatory biological instinct by codifying the following. Alimony. The legal framework often assumes the woman is entitled to maintain the marital standard of living, even if she is perfectly capable of working. This is a perpetual payment extracted from the husband's future income. It legally turns a man into a long-term sponsor for his ex-wife's future relationships. The greatest irony is that the man who was most reliable, most stable, and most successful, the man who passed the hypergamy test in his 20s, is the man who has now created the largest legal and financial incentive for her to leave him in her 40s, precisely when her own SMV begins to naturally decline. The marriage isn't ending because you stopped providing. The marriage is ending because your provision became so massive that it triggered the maximum financial yield for her exit. The vast majority of men who get financially ruined in divorce do so not because of the law, but because of their own failed frame during the proceedings. The case of the compromising CEO. Let's look at the story of John, name changed, a CEO in the tech sector. When his wife filed, he wanted to be the good guy. He said, "I don't want to fight. We have children. I want a fair, amicable divorce." This is the nice guy frame operating on its highest stakes. John saw the process as a negotiation between two people with shared history. His lawyer saw a battleground. His wife's lawyer saw a massive payday. Because John was operating from a soft, compromising frame, prioritizing peace over financial survival, his wife's legal team immediately began to ask for more. John compromised on the house. He compromised on the spousal support. He compromised because he was afraid of conflict, afraid of being labeled the bad father, and desperately clinging to the fantasy of an amicable split. The result? John ended up paying $18,000 per month in support, was forced to sell his company equity at a loss, and was left living in a fraction of the lifestyle he created. The lesson is simple. The legal system is not designed to reward the good guy. It is designed to reward the dominant frame. The nice guy frame sees the divorce as a personal failure. The sovereign frame sees it as a legal threat requiring an aggressive, strategic defense. Your desire for fairness is a weakness that will be ruthlessly exploited by opposing counsel. You must protect your assets with the same intensity you used to acquire them. If the truth about John's compliance is hitting home, it's because you are now seeing that your desire for peace is not reciprocated in this process. You need tools, strategy, and an unshakable mindset to survive the modern dating and marriage landscape. Don't be another statistic. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so you never miss another crucial analysis that will help you protect your life's work.
The goal of this analysis is not to create fear, but to create strategy. You cannot fight the system by being angry. You can only defeat it by being prepared and maintaining an unshakable frame. The pre-sovereignty protocol. The most powerful defense against financial annihilation begins long before the words, "I want a divorce," are ever spoken. The documented frame. Never, under any circumstances, allow the woman to become the sole custodian of the relationship narrative. Document your contributions, your communication, and her behavior. You must treat your marriage like a business where proper record-keeping is vital. The prenup, postnup. This is not a sign of distrust. It is a sign of financial maturity and frame control. It is the only mechanism that allows the two partners, during a time of sanity, to define the rules of the separation, thus overriding the state's predatory default settings. The asset wall. Ensure that your highest value assets, business equity, real estate investments, primary income streams, are protected by corporate structures or trusts that wall them off from being considered marital assets. Your business is not a joint checking account. It is your future purpose, and it must be protected. The absolute frame during crisis. If the bomb has already dropped, your mindset is everything. Your goal shifts from fixing the marriage to minimizing the damage while maintaining your psychological sovereignty. Silence is your shield. Stop communicating about the relationship. Stop arguing. Stop negotiating outside of the official legal channel. Any emotional output you give, anger, sadness, compromise, will be used against you to extract a larger financial settlement. Silence and indifference are the highest value currency in divorce court. Mirror the aggression. If she initiates a hostile frame through her legal team, you must immediately mirror that aggression with your own. Do not try to be the peacemaker. The divorce process is fundamentally adversarial, and compliance is weakness. You must be represented by a lawyer who understands this high frame strategy. Root your value in yourself. The psychological test she is running is the same one she ran in the dating phase. Does this man's life fall apart without me? If you are depressed, begging, or losing focus on your purpose, you confirm her decision to leave and validate her belief that you are a lower value man. You must be visibly unbothered. You must be working harder, getting fitter, and expanding your purpose. You must prove that her absence made you stronger, not weaker. The moment you stop needing her approval or her financial compromise is the moment you gain all the leverage back. The dark truth about how divorce can financially destroy a man isn't about women being inherently gold diggers. It's about a legal system that institutionalizes hypergamy and rewards the weaponization of female biological instincts against the male provider. You cannot rely on the archaic fantasy of loyalty. You must build your life on the bedrock of your own unshakable purpose and financial sovereignty. Your wife's devotion is a temporary gift to be appreciated. Your own frame control is the permanent defense mechanism that no betrayal can extinguish. The men who survive this system are not the nicest or the richest. They are the men who recognized the reality of the game they were playing and adjusted their strategies accordingly. They are the men who prioritized pre-sovereignty over post-crisis desperation. Your financial life is your most precious asset. It is the fuel for your purpose and the future of your children. Protect it with the ferocity of a high-value man who understands that in the modern world, trust is a luxury, but strategy is survival. The suffering caused by divorce is the price men pay for choosing comfort over reality. Don't pay that price. Choose the hard truth, choose sovereignty, and protect your purpose.